The bounty hunters. You'd have thunk they'd have a little snack table or something after a formal ceremony. J3 notes as they all arrive back at the chainbreaker, and there's some scoffing. Oh yes, because that's a great way to get a proper diplomatic incident right out the gate. Remember the chicken, mince, and coffee that Admiral Cistern damn near murdered that woman with? Mustard asks, and there's some snickering. Well, let's be fair. There's only a handful of races that would actually serve up what are deadly chemical weapons to most of the galaxy at large. Like the Canador, Slytherin remarks. Or, don't the Apuk occasionally breathe fire on their food as they eat something dangerous? Slytherin asks, deliberately ignoring the obvious answer. And, oh, slubs eat all kind of weird things thanks to their biology. Then we have that new type of Earthani that's extra aggressive. I think we've run out by now, Malrin. And of course, people with synthetic digestive tracts. Really, kid? Mustard asks. Oh, and adepts who are crazy survivalists. You're really reaching for this, J3 says. He's been reaching for more than half the list, Mr. T adds with a chuckle. Still, he has a point. I think this calls for some snacks. I'm going to grab some biscuits and put on a pot. Who wants some? I still have a bit of a bowl of my own favorites, so I'm going to go back to those and polish it off. Then I'm dropping the beacons. Let's see if we can't get a show while we have the army here for potential backup, Slytherin says. Sounds good. Give us a heads up so we can catch the show. Yeah, boss, Slytherin says as he offers off a salute and quickly slithers away. His investigations are going well, and he wants to see if he can bait out an event. If the answer is yes, then the Shimmering Sands are entirely predictable and therefore understandable. If not, well, back to banging his head against a hollow table and hoping a good idea tumbles out. There are a few hisses vaguely in tune to the main theme of a few shows he's seen recently as he quickly activates and deactivates all 3 beacons and grins. All right then, time to poke things with a stick and see if it tries to bite me. It takes about 20 minutes to get things moving around, and another 5 to load them up into the shuttle he's been working on. He quickly puts things into the shuttle and slithers to the cockpit. The small shuttle had come a long way from the emergency pod made in the Meccan Reach. Yes, it still had all its old components, but he had added in all the redundancies and a few modifications to the engine to really make it kick ass. A quick system check and everything revs up good and strong. He's well under weight limit, and he's already primed this shuttle to work well with him. A quick press of a button and his control implant gives him a little signal as it has a handshake with the shuttle, and then it starts moving under his direct thoughts. His little shuttle takes off and outright dances under his control as he heads towards the proper coordinates. There is a large area where the theoretical next town hit would have been, again if people hadn't caught on to the need for groundwater to keep them safe. So he's dropping all 3 of the beacons at strategic places. And if they don't scare anything up, they'll be located a few times in the wide area. He places all 3 beacons, and before activating them, he sends an alert to the chainbreaker he's about to turn them on. He then waits for a confirmation and then another minute before turning them on. Give everyone a chance to start running. He activates the beacons and nothing. He was kind of expecting a storm to drop out of nowhere and dump shiny sand all over everything. Well, that's kind of disappointing. Hey, little buddy, the wind just shifted. Bike sends to him and Slytherin's eyes widen. Really? I ask as his eyebrows go up. He links up with the data feed from the chainbreaker and sees how several different airstreams have outright veered out of their normal paths and are now building a windstorm that's just beyond the horizon line. He lifts his shuttle up higher, and he sees the tan sands of the world being churned up and twisting in the far distance. Damn. Well, I think I poked the right thing. Slytherin notes as the storm builds more and more power. Right out of where the theoretical village it's about to hit could see it, which says to him that there not only is a mind behind these attacks, but it's one that lives or at least understand lives at the level of the average galactic height. It takes an hour for the storm to build an appropriate amount of power before shifting again. At this point, Slytherin has pulled up his shuttle until he's up where the air grows so thin that there's no chance for what's going on to actually reach him. It also gives him a hell of a view of the storm that's starting to shimmer and shine as it goes from building power to suddenly moving. It crosses the distance, rushing over the horizon line and hitting the simulated city far below. The data feed from the beacons is fast, thick, and confusing as hell. If there is a pattern to it, Slytherin can't make it out as it shifts in front of him so quickly as whatever is happening more and more and more of it is happening too quickly to be tracked. And this is the level between an adept and a dabbler. I can punch clean through a small ship and slither off with a building if I have to, but this is too much too fast and too powerful for me to make heads or tails of. He notes as everything gets recorded. It takes 3 hours for the storm to blow itself out, and the entire area comprising all 3 beacons and the space between them is completely covered in shimmering and shining sand. A scan from above the sand tells him that nothing has physically changed about the local sand, and only a few parts per 100,000 should be glinting anywhere near as much as it actually is. There's just not enough natural crystals in this kind of sand to support the shine, which of course means there's axiom fuckery afoot. Weirdly though, the data stream has outright stopped on the axiom sensors, which means his assumption on the storm itself being the axiom effect and the shimmering sands being the aftermath seems to be straight on the money. So he does the next thing and sends a small drone down to collect a sample of the sands. He quickly has it secured, and then after some more consideration, heads back up to the chainbreaker to bring the sample to a scanner that hasn't been put to use, or maybe hold it out to someone who knows more about axiom use than him. So, 14 terabytes of data, Bike says as the airlock door closes and seals the landing bay again. Terabytes with a T? Slytherin asks and Bike nods. Holy shit, that is an insanely complicated effect. Maybe not as much as you think. We were able to find some patterns. They just overlap so much that the data came out stupidly dense. So there's a lot of repetition. Bike explains and Slytherin considers. And you've already figured that out? First thing I did showed this. I took a sample of the data and then examined it more closely. I found nearly 120 pattern repetitions in a single second's worth of the data stream, Bike says, and Slytherin lets out a low hiss at that thought. That insane. That's either advanced computer work or an obsessive attention to detail. Slytherin considers. Possible with a mnemonic and then not too hard to master. But this is a trick that cannot be accidentally developed. It's far too refined and far too precise. Bike agrees. Hey, why are you so eager to help me with this anyways? What are you kidding? Our favorite little guy is going out to solve a mystery like a boss and you want us to back off? Bike asks, and Slytherin sighs and rolls his eyes. Yes, because the teenager routine isn't something literally every adult on this ship has done themselves at some point. Right, so there's a massive pattern that repeats like crazy. Wait, is the sheer amount of data due to the fact that it's in every goddamn grain of sand? That's insane. Maybe, maybe not, Bike says, and Slytherin thinks. Need another scanner? I think I do, which means I'm heading to the nearby testing chamber. Slytherin notes and Bike gets out of his way, then follows. For some reason, this really starts to bother Slytherin. Yes, he gets that he just wants to help and respect his space, but that's just... He doesn't want to be patronized. Another man should get that sometimes you just have to do things yourself. Right? He takes a breath and lets it out. No, that's just, something talking. And it's not something that's smart or wise. He gets into the testing chamber and follows the left wall to find a high-intensity axiom scanner, something a lot stronger than what he installed into his beacons and should be able to... The sand is no longer shimmering. Son of a bitch. He mutters to himself and puts the small container of sand into the scanning area and activates it anyways. Nothing. It's just sand. Oh, you annoying little bastard. What's wrong? The fucking axiom effect wore off on the sample. It's just sand now, Slytherin says, slipping to the side as Bike walks up and examines things. That's annoying. What's your next plan? Well, I already have several beacons in there and I got it. There's still something else I can take a look at, although I will need some more metal for it. What are you thinking? Well, there's good odds my beacons are about to go poof and we should hopefully get a signal from wherever the hell they go. But do these events take metal that's introduced afterwards? We did, after all, just prove that if you take some of it away from the mass, then its effects fade, which is interesting. Very interesting. It means these events can be escaped from. Exactly, which means the next question is, can they be intercepted? I throw some sheet metal onto the shimmering sands. Does the metal stay or go? Inquiring minds have just got to know. Come on, I built a couple extra beacons in case something really weird happened and you needed more. You can drop one of those, warmar, Bike says, and Slithern blinks. You what? He asks, and Bike gestures for him to follow. 2 minutes later, and they're both looking over a series of 5 beacons, damn near identical to Slithern's own. How? German efficiency. We get a lot done in little time. Right, fine. Let's load up 2 of them and see what happens, Slithern says, and with Bike's help, things get shifted around in no time at all. Can I drive? Bike asks, and Slithern gives him a nasty look. That's a no, then? That's a no. This is my shuttle. Mine, Slithern says, and Bike holds up his hands in surrender. They take off, and soon enough are over the shining miniature ocean in the otherwise tan desert. The beacons already present are reporting nothing odd and sitting fine in the sunlight, despite looking like a child with truly industrial levels of glitter was told to go all out according to their decorating sensibilities. The other 2 beacons are dropped into the shimmering sands in such a way as to turn the triangle formation into a pentagon. They're activated to start giving off the signal of more people showing up, and then comes the next part, returning to the chainbreaker and waiting, and waiting, and waiting. And then exactly 24 hours after the storm hit, the shimmering sands, 3 covered beacons, and the sands still in the testing chamber all vanish simultaneously, leaving the 2 beacons introduced later behind. Well, that's a hell of a thing, Slithern notes before grinning. But we got a signal. Time to trace those beacons.